Yo, what is up? How we doing? Dancing mad? Always a crowd pleaser. Always a crowd pleaser. I might have to revisit my favorite Final Fantasy, all-time Final Fantasy tracks sometime soon. Just because it's always a good time. What's up, everybody? How we doing tonight? Hope everybody's having a wonderful, fantastic start to their week. It is hot here in the East Coast. It is hot. So I know it's kind of warm everywhere, but it was hot today, and it's going to be hot for a few days. So stay inside, keep it cool, right? What's up, Michelle? How we doing? Evo, Eric, what's up, Eric? Finally glad to see you in the stream, man. What's up, Orly? A lot of the usual suspects. Nick, my man, how we doing? Scotty, hail to Scotty. How we doing tonight? I was thinking about Final Fantasy VI today. You know what I'm considering doing when I get through Lunar? When I finish Lunar 1, we might jump into the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. I might start with the first one. Fine and Cold. Is it cold where you're at? Oh yeah, Nick, I'm sure you're like, I'm sure it was hot out there. Are you all doing 2-a-days? Do they still do 2-a-days? I'm not sure if they still do 2-a-days in the summertime. When I was in high school, middle school, we did. So, but that would be brutal right now. Brutal. Yeah, I'm anxious to give Final Fantasy VI another try. No, not another try, but another playthrough. But I want to start from the beginning. In your room it's cold? Yeah, I got a kind of cold here in the studio tonight. So I'm super happy that it's cold in here because it has been chilly. It has been chilly in the house. But we're kind of trying to be careful about keeping it too cold in the house because we don't want it to freeze up like the air conditioner, and then we're just roasting in here. We do not want that. We do not want that. I hope everybody is having a great start to their Monday. Happy Monday indeed to everyone. So I want to start the podcast, or not the podcast. I guess it's kind of like a daily pod, isn't it? Interestingly enough. Oh, you're okay. So you're coaching. Okay, yeah. Yeah, 95. Woof. Woof. So I received a gift today. And I won't say last name, but Joey. If you go by Joseph or Joey, thank you. If you watch this, it is a gentleman who sent me a gift. Gave me a gift. And it was a really cool gift, and it's more Final Fantasy Magic cards. Oh yeah, no more 2-a-days. 2-a-days were so rough, man. But I wanted to open the stream by saying thank you, Joey. For the gift of Final Fantasy Magic cards. So what he gave me was the collector's, or not the collector's, but the starter box, the starter deck set box. So what I wanted to do real quick, we'll start by going through these and kind of showing them. It's not as much as I had last night. It's just 2 decks, 2 pre-built decks. I'm going to see what's in here and just go from there. But tonight what we're going to be talking about, Vincent Valentine. I've got some thoughts on what I would like to see them do with the character, where I want to see it go. But be thinking about some good questions. And after I say kind of what I want to say about Vincent and what we're going to see from him in Game 3 and all that kind of good stuff, then we'll get to some questions and we'll get to some just some Q&A stuff. See what you all think. But let's just go ahead and get into it. So first off, how's my volume? Is the volume good? Is the volume aces? I hope it is. Because I'm going to get started because I'm anxious to get into these. So we're going to start with, we got Sahagan, we know that. The Ilmeg Pixie, I guess I'm saying that right. That's a Final Fantasy 14 thing, so I'm probably not saying it right. Oh, I dropped the Sahagan card. Well, I've got like 7 of those. So Retrieve the Esper, Dreams of Laguna, Realms Sketching. Oh, I need my glasses on for my aging eyes. For my aging eyes. Okay. Ultimacia Temporal Threat. That is a rare. 556. That's a 0556. That's like a... I did some reading up on this. I think the things in the 500s are like promos or something like that. If you get something in the 500s. So there's Ultimacia. She looks like Ultimacia, right? So I'm going to put those like that. Undercity Dire Rat. Got a bunch of those. Got a bunch more. Shinra Reinforcements. We got those. I like how Shinra cards, like Shinra Reinforcements, are the Swampland, the dark cards. I like how they did that. Sephiroth's Intervention. Shambling Seath. We got that one last night. Albed Scavengers. I know we've got them. Ooh, Overkill. Oh, Overkill. Hang on. This is Final Fantasy X, right? Yeah. So that's a cool Titus card. Overkill. I like that. I like that a lot. The artwork on these is just undeniable. Evil Reawakened. We got him last night. So, ooh, another rare. Seymour Flux. Yo. Oh, he's got the spear. Spear of Atrophy. Spear of Atrophy. Unaleska, we must be wed. Okay. Deadly Embrace. Okay, so we're coming on some that I don't have. But these are all 500s, so I guess that's why I don't have them, because I think these are, everything that comes in these decks I think are promos, like the rares are promos. Deadly Embrace. Very cool. That's going to be Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16. Okay. Xande, Dark Mage. That's Final Fantasy 3. Art on that one's pretty good. I mean, no, it's great, but like all the artwork on all these cards are just so amazing. Magitech Scythe. Okay, yeah, that's going to be... Oh no, it's Final Fantasy 14. I was going to say Final Fantasy 15. That's another promo rare right there. Alright, and then it looks like we've got just a bunch of lands. I mean, half of this is lands. Okay. And then a bunch of tokens. Okay, something for Magic Arena. I'm good. I'm good with Magic Arena. Okay, cool. So, that was cool. Like that. Now, the last of the 2 decks. Let's see what we got here. So, we've got Cloudbound Moogle. I think I've got this one. I'm not sure. I got a bunch of Moogle cards. But that one's pretty cool. As a Common Boy, Kuril, Dwarven Castle Guard. Oh wait, I think we have a different dwarf. I'm not sure. So let's see, Dwarven Castle Guard, right there. That is Final Fantasy IV. Fate of the Suncrist. We have that. Okay, common. Slash of Light. Got that one last night. White Aura Sight, we've had that one. White Mage's Staff is very cool. We have it. Oh, I've got Steiner. Okay, so I got a regular Steiner card now. I've got the holo, now I've got the regular one. Sweet. 003. Okay, so it's not... So everything in the deck is not like a promo number, I guess. So 003, very cool. The Crystal's Chosen, got it. Dragoon's Lance, we've got that. Garana Tia, we've got that one. Ho 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 ho. Another wonderful, wonderful character. Final Fantasy IV. It's a rare, it's a promo number. Rosa, Resolute White Mage. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Beatrix, Loyal Servant. That is Final Fantasy 9. Yeah, Final Fantasy 9. Another rare, promo numbered rare right there. Cool. I dig it. Item Shopkeeper. Got 3 of those where I got that Warrior's Sword. We've got that. Hey, I got another Suplex. Freya. Samurai's Katana. Got all those. Got another Barrett. Hey. We'll always show Barrett when we get him. We'll always show Mr. Wallace when we get him. Mr. Bentley. Much love to you, sir. Mr. John Bentley. Let's see. Oh, we got some. Got a rare promo Lightning Security Sergeant. Of course, you can get all of these. I think every starter deck 2-pack, I think they all have the same thing in them. I think they have all the same cards in them. They might not. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I think they probably do. Judgment Bolt, another rare. And this is Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16. Our boy here. Our boy here. One of the best characters in the game. Ultimate Weapon. Final Fantasy 7. I love it. It looks fantastic. And if this is a taste of what Ultimate Weapon looks like in Redemption, ha ha ha. See, I did it again. My camera, I can't get my camera to focus. Oh well. There we go. There we go. Alright. Cool card. Okay, so we got Rabanastre Royal City. That's from Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 12 got a lot of land cards in this. So I don't have this one. And the artwork is amazing. This looks like something out of Star Wars. But you know, it makes sense because Final Fantasy 12 is just straight up Star Wars. Like good Star Wars. Not bad Star Wars. Alright, so and the rest of these are all land cards that I already have. Double check, make sure. Yeah, it's all plains, mountains. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Nothing new in here. More token cards. A couple tokens I don't have. Okay. Alright. So, that was cool. Now, for the cool cards that were in this. Now, to be fair, you see these on the front of the package. These weren't like surprises when I open it, so I'm saving these for last. Sephiroth, the planet's heir. Foil. That's a beautiful card. Just an absolutely gorgeous card. And again, these promos, they are in every starter box. So if you like these and you want to get the cards, I think the starter box is like 20 or 25 bucks. I looked it up after I received it. I was like, well, how much was this? I thought it was going to be like 50 or 60 bucks. I was going to be like, oh man, you shouldn't have. But 20 bucks, man, I appreciate that. You know, it's like, I don't feel as bad. So they're 20 to 25 bucks. You can pick these up. So that was Sephiroth, the planet's heir, and Cloud, the planet's champion. Boom. And that leads me to another cool point. That, you know, early on when we were talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth theories with Genesis and stuff like that, I talked about him being kind of a ward of the planet, you know, kind of like the chosen champion, or how he viewed himself as the champion of the planet. So I thought it was interesting that the Cloud card was called the planet's champion, because, you know, Gaia, the live stream, will select a champion and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, Rose is amazing. Final Fantasy IV is a very, very slept-on game. It's one of the reasons I want to go and play the Pixel remasters from start to finish, 1 all the way through 6. Play through them again. 4 and 5 are completely overlooked, and it's criminal because those are really, really good stories. 3 is okay. 3 is okay. To me, 2 and 3 are just okay. But Final Fantasy 1, it's Final Fantasy 1. You know, it's the first Final Fantasy game. It's a good story. But I think 3, they were starting to get their stride, and 4, they really had their template set for how they wanted to tell stories. 4, to me, is where it started getting good. 5 was great, and of course 6 is a legendary game, a legendary story. 7, of course, is the GOAT. And then with 8, it just fell off a cliff. No, I'm just kidding. I like to give 8 fans, I like to give them the business, but no, 8's fine. And I really kind of want to try to play through 8 again sometime this year, just to revisit with an open mind with all of you all, because you wouldn't believe how many people message me. They're just like, well, you just don't get the finer bits of the story and what 8's trying to do. I'm like, no, I do. It's just, it's not for me, you know. But I'm going to try to play through it again sometime this year. Maybe in the lead up to the 3rd Final Fantasy game, we will play 8. We will absolutely play Final Fantasy 8. But, so, with all that out of the way, I figured we would deep dive and talk about some Vincent Valentine tonight. Because I've got a couple of things, it's 2 points, really. 2 things I want to see them do with Vincent Valentine. And we'll talk a little bit about how I'd like to see him handle and all that stuff, but we've talked about this stuff before. I want to go in a little bit on 2 points about Vincent Valentine I really hope we get to dive into. Because they skimmed the surface of it a lot. A lot of people didn't play Dirge of Cerberus. And even in Dirge of Cerberus, you kind of get bits and pieces of these 2 items. I want to see Vincent as a Turk in some flashbacks, like just some stuff. Just some stuff with him doing things as a Turk. Some backstory. You know, what was he like? You know, what kind of dude was he? Now, and again, I make arguments against things like this in the past that doesn't serve the story. With Vincent, it does. Vincent has a direct tie, and even you could say responsibility in a way, to the state the planet is currently in. Unlike Yuffie, unlike Cid, unlike Nanaki, unlike other characters in the story, Vincent has a direct tie, and you could argue responsibility for what is happening right now to the planet with Sephiroth. You know, he could have intervened. Vincent could have intervened with the thing, with the experiment that led to Sephiroth's birth. You know, with Lucretia and Hojo. You could also argue, well, Hojo would have just found like another female to do the experiment with. Hey, let's go experiment, you know? Hey, you want to go do some experimenting? Actually, that works. Actually, that still works. But I say there's a lot to do if you get into the genetics of, you know, how Sephiroth is created. Yeah, Genova, he says that's his mother. That's what gives him the power and all that kind of stuff. And Hojo's the father. But there is something to be said with Lucretia being the one who carried him, because her body had to nurture him. So she is present in there as well. She is his physical mother. Lucretia is. Lucretia Crescent. So Vincent, his history with the Turks and his history and all that, we don't have to go way into it, but it does have some bearing on the story. Like Vincent, he should have intimate knowledge of what's going on that other people just don't have. Like he had like complete access to Shinra files, even in the basement guarding the Shinra Mansion, the secrets of the Shinra Mansion, all those books, all the text, all the experimental data, all that kind of stuff. He had access to all of that stuff. And by all means, it seems like that stuff has pretty much been, for the most part, unattended. Like Vincent is the watchdog there, but he also is a sentient being. No, Vincent's not Sephiroth's father. No. Vincent, that's a fan theory, but he's not Sephiroth's father. It's a fun fan theory, and I think it would be awesome. I think it would be awesome if it turned out that he was Sephiroth's father, but he's not Sephiroth's dad. But the thing with Vincent that makes him such an alluring character is he is a good guy who is just swimming in the darkness based on the things that have happened to him. Physical, just being destroyed physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally wrecked. He's a fun character. Why? What? Oh wait. Anyway. He's a fun character to get into, and if you're a fan of gothic horror like me, it's just fun to dive into a vampiric kind of character. I'll call him a nocturnal kind of character. But Vincent's backstory with the Turks is important. I want to see more of it. I would like to see them go into it, because I feel like we're gonna get some sleuthing kind of stuff in the third game, as far as like research and needing inside information. And Rebirth touches on Vincent as a Turk in the Temple of the Ancients, when he's trying to pep talk the Turks into getting Sing out of there and be like, "You're Turks, suck it up," basically, they suck it up, "You're Turks, get out of here, go." He could have ended them. He could have ended them right there, but he didn't. He's like, "Get out," He almost like he had a camaraderie with them. Now, he was way before their time. None of them would know who Vincent Valentine is. Way before their time. But I do find it very, very intriguing that they had that little bit in there, because they planted the seed, and the creative team and the writers wouldn't plant that seed there, because the Temple of the Ancients is such a bridge for the story into the next game. The Temple of the Ancients is where we get a lot of stuff to pick little things out to where you see where the direction of the next game is going to go. Redemption arcs, Cloud's journey, the stuff they planted with Vincent, the little seeds they're planting within Shinra, with the Turks kind of being like, why are we, because eventually in the third game, the Turks are going to be like, this is all above our pay grade. They start to have an about face. So I think Vincent could be a part of that. Show us Vincent as a Turk. Show us some of that, because when we get to Lucretia's cave in the third game, they're going to start touching all this stuff. But drop some little Easter eggs here and there. Drop some little tidbits, some clues to tell us what his involvement was. And I want to see more of the chaos stuff, because Vincent's going to be a powerful, powerful ally in the story. And you're going to need one with the absence of Aerith. I think Vincent could step in to the role as, and take this as you want, but I think Vincent could step in and assume that role of the party's primary magic user, dealing damage, stuff like that. Because Aerith, when you power her up, she deals really good magic damage. I think Vincent could fill that kind of void left by her in the party. The other thing I want to see them go into with Vincent, I kind of touched on it. Chaos. What is it that's special within Vincent that makes him be able to handle chaos? We need to see it, not so much, we can get it through the story, we can get it through dialogue, but we also need to see it in how he plays. I want to see the chaos, like the presence of chaos bleeding out of him in battle. Like the teleporting, the bamfing around, the turning into different creatures, all that kind of stuff. Chaos. the Slim Shady guy from Stranger of Paradise, the 50-year-old Slim Shady. Chaos. Chaos. Yeah, I want to see that and how he plays. I've said before, Vincent Valentine, and you all can tell me what you think about this. I've said it many times. Some of you all may not agree with me on this. I think he just needs to play like Dante from Devil May Cry. Just make him play like Dante. It's... Will we see Vincent fight Vice in part 3? Yeah, why not? You know? Deep ground is going to be a thing. They have planted that seed. Again, that was another thing they planted at the end of Rebirth. That we're going to see deep ground. Deep ground was in Rebirth. We saw Nero. We saw Nero calling out to Yuffie. We saw it happen. Vincent's going to have a really big character arc in the story. Because you basically essentially just get him in Game 3. Now, I know a lot of people complain about just getting Vincent, just getting Cid for Game 3. But here's the thing. I think Game 3 is going to be a longer playthrough than OG Final Fantasy VII even was. So, you're actually going to get more time with them. Vincent and Cid. The game is going to be massive. It has to wrap up a bunch of stories. There's a lot this game has to do. And I think they're going to get it across the finish line. I think they're going to do it the right way. I think we're going to see... I think we're going to see a lot from Vincent. I think he's going to be very... anything... Vincent is Sephiroth, long lost... Okay. Vincent is going to be very crucial to the story because he's a powerful character. He has ties to Shinra. He is with the party now. He is traipsing along with them. But not in like a treacherous kind of way like Kate Sith was. And it'll be interesting to see how... It'll be interesting to see just how Vincent's interactions are with Sephiroth. I'm really, really excited to see the stuff in Lucrezia's Cave. But as far as like gameplay, I think you just make him handle like Dante from Devil May Cry. And like the different moves, special moves of his, I want to see him not completely turn into a beast, but for just special moves like they did with Cloud's Braver attack and triple slash and other stuff. Maybe see bits of Vincent turn into a beast, like his claws, or maybe like have wings come up on his back for a period, or like some dive bomb attack, you know. I forget which limit break it is where he uses like the demi attack. That might be chaos. That might be chaos. No. Yeah, I think it might be chaos actually. Where he like turns into a demon and uses demi, spams demi. But really, I just want to see them do right by Vincent Valentine. I want to see his interactions with the characters. And here's the number one thing I wanted to get to. Vincent Valentine should know exactly what happened to Cloud. Vincent Valentine should know exactly what was done to Cloud what was done to Zach. He should know all that stuff. He's got access to all that data. He should know every bit of that. And maybe we see Vincent have a conversation with Cloud about it. Or maybe a conversation with someone else, and he just alludes to Cloud that, yeah, things were done. You're special now. You got the super soldier serum. But I think Vincent should have a conversation with Cloud about that after Cloud comes back out of the live stream, when he's ready to handle it. When he's put back together and he's ready to handle it. That's what I think. Vincent's role as the kind of like one holding the tome for the story moving forward, like he's almost like he's got the dungeon master knowledge, right? He has all the knowledge of the dungeon master. He's holding the tome. He knows the secrets, but he's not just going to give them up, because they're secrets that can make or break a person, that would just shatter a person's psyche. I think he knows this stuff. I think he will drop knowledge on people, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they treat him moving forward. I feel like they view him as a very special character. I think they know how much the fans love him. I think they understand his importance, and I believe they'll do right by him. I know a lot of people have spoken with me because they know I'm a big Vincent fan, as are they, that they're worried they're not going to get Vincent right. We're not going to get enough time with him. Look, I foresee Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga Part 3 Redemption clocking in about 40 or 50 hours. But one of those things where if you do everything, it could be 100 to 150 hours. And people, look, these people, these scumbags hit my comments up. I was like, man, you can maybe get 150, 200 hours out of Rebirth. People were like, oh, now you're just trolling. No. A lot of people did get 150 to 200 hours out of Rebirth. I think my current playthrough, I haven't even done half the stuff, and I'm close to 80 hours. So, yeah, I think the third game there's going to be more to do, and it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. There's going to be a lot to do. There's going to be a lot to see. Vincent's going to have a hand in all of it. Now, let's talk about extra content and side quests and stuff that deviates from the main story, right? I think this is a great opportunity to explore some of the concepts that were explored in Dirge of Cerberus. Because Dirge of Cerberus, 730 hours, 35 hours for you. Holy shit, Rick. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. For those of us who like to get all the meat off the bone, like to clean our plate, eat all the beans, eat all the potatoes, eat all the beef off the plate, we're in Rick G territory. We're getting 700 plus hours out of the game, I think side quests and side missions and stuff like that are going to be a great way to explore the story, the narrative-changing concepts that are introduced in Dirge of Cerberus. Say what you want to about Dirge of Cerberus. I had fun with it when I played it. Wasn't my favorite game, but I had fun with it. It was different, It was fun going back exploring the other places. The gameplay was interesting. And you're playing as Vincent. How cool was that? And the cutscenes were awesome. The cutscenes are still awesome, But I really think getting side quests and things you could talk about, because in Dirge of Cerberus they talked a lot about how the live stream works and how that's where I got my cyclical time loops theory, because the energy when it's destroyed is recycled and starts over again. There's a cycle, a continuous cycle. Destruction, rebirth, remaking, rebirth, remake, rebirth. Hey, what did we just do? What did we just do? What if the 3 titles of the game are explaining the cycle that the universe goes through, and then remake, rebirth, recycle? Final Fantasy VII recycled. But yeah, so it talks about stuff like Shulk, and there's a couple scenes with her. There's a couple scenes on the Shera where they're discussing it. For those of you who don't know, the Shera is the High Wind 2.0. But it could be a great way to introduce those things, those concepts, like discuss chaos, like, you know, and all the other characters should have side quests as well. But I love what Expedition 33 did with like wrapping up the character relationships with side quests or side events. They weren't all side quests, but side events or side conversations. I thought that was fantastic. Final Fantasy VII Returnal. Blech, no, that's I don't like that one. That's a mouthful, bro. That's a mouthful. I think they should. All the characters should have their side quests, wrap things up, and that's how you wrap up their stories. Now, I don't know if the wrapping up the characters' side quests are going to be a part of the main story. I think they should be, but you could relegate that off to side quests if, like, say you don't care about Kate Sith's side quest, or you don't care about Sid Highwind's side quest. Now, the stuff in Rocket Town, that should absolutely be canon to the narrative, and you should have to do it. I really think that should be. I'm not big on Return either, because I don't know, it just doesn't, saying it, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy VII Return, like, it doesn't have the same vibe as those other things do. Like, it doesn't, I've seen people say Return a lot, and then whatever they name it at the end of the day is what they name it. But for me, it just doesn't, like, it doesn't fit the sequence. It doesn't roll off the tongue. And, like, Resurrection doesn't either. I think it's going to be Redemption. I think I'm just really stuck on Redemption because it makes the most sense given what they showed us at the end of the game. Like, I'm going completely by what they showed us at the end of the game. Final Fantasy VII Redemption is what I've been calling for a while. That's my pick. That's my pick. But anyway, Vincent Valentine's side quest could be really interesting because I think we'll go back to the Shinra Mansion. I think it'll absolutely not wrap up in Midgar. I think it will wrap up at Lucrezia's Cave. I think there will be places you need to go. I think you'll go to, I think it'll take us to Gongaga. I think it'll take us, of course, to Nibelheim. We'll probably have to start there. I think it'll take us to Gongaga. I think it will be, it'll take us to Midgar for sure. And I think it'll wrap up at Lucrezia's Cave when you're kind of wrapping up all your business before you go fight Sephiroth at the end of the game. No, I didn't see that, Darth Magus. But yeah, so as far as Vincent Valentine goes, what do you all want to see? I want to see him play like Dante from Devil May Cry with some really interesting abilities. I want to see how his... I think he's going to be a powerful magic user. I think his story is going to be integral to what is going on. I think he's going to be the person who holds the secrets for Cloud. And I think we're finally going to get to see what happened to Cloud during that 4 years where he was captured and being experimented on by Hojo. Because they've already laid precedents. There's already a precedent for Vincent being the one to have the secrets, to have the forbidden knowledge, right? Because if you watch Advent Children, which, you know, that's still canon, if you watch Advent Children, he's the one that lets Cloud know what's going on with Kadaj, Yazoo, and Laws. He's the one that gets the party the intel, which that's the intel the party's using at the end of the game. Like when they're all aboard the Shera, and he is telling them what Kadaj is, and then Oil Tycoon says like, "So the punk's gonna become Sephiroth, right?" Yeah, and he talks about Kadaj being a larval form of Sephiroth. You know, so yeah, I think we're gonna have to have that be present in the story as well, which really makes Vincent a very, very important character. And in all this, I really hope all the characters retain the prominence they felt like they had in Rebirth, because every character felt like they were important in Rebirth. Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, Yuffie, Red 13, or Nanaki. Somebody let me know if the common rabble prefers Red 13 or Nanaki, because I don't want to sound like one of these guys who's like, well, you know his name's Nanaki. But there's a part of me that always wants to correct myself when I say Red 13. It's like, wait, no, that's his captured name. That's his experiment name. His name's Nanaki, you know. But I also don't want to come off like full of myself. Like, you know his name's Nanaki, right? It's not Red 13, right? Did you even play the game, bro? Are you even a fan, bro? Yeah, so towing the line between the two. But I really hope that the writing is as strong as it was in Rebirth, and that they're able to keep every character feeling important. Because I feel like an easy way to make Barrett feel important is you find a way to go back and visit with Marlene sometime in the game. He has to have something to do. Barrett has to have something to do, not just go kill the people that blew up Coral, you know. Like, he has to have something to do. And that's why I was kind of hoping they would stretch the Dyne thing out into the third game, because it gives you a boogeyman to chase with Barrett, right? Yeah, I would too. After Terrence, after my first playthrough in OG, I would name him Nanaki. Yeah, I would. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Vincent Valentine. My theory is he is going to have a big role pertaining directly to the planet's champion, Cloud Strife. Like, he's going to have knowledge for him once Cloud comes out of the live stream. He's going to have some insight for him. Almost like a thing where he's like, almost like a Jedi Master talking to a Padawan, be like, okay, now you're ready to know the truth of how this all works. You know, you're ready. You're prepared. You know, you know what you need to know now. Let's talk turkey. Let's let you know what you need to know now. And I think that would be wild. I want to see, of course, I want to see every character's story arc. Sid is another one I've got fascinating thoughts about, but we're going to save that one for Wednesday night. Red 13's voice will deepen, crossing fingers. Well, that's the voice actor's natural voice, I think, when he speaks like excitedly. It's a little higher pitched when he speaks excitedly, you know. But that's One Punch Man, so there is no part 4, Peter. There is no part 4. Like, the third game is the end. So, and of course, they can absolutely wrap it up in 3 parts. I mean, they could have wrapped it up in 2. They absolutely could have wrapped it up in 2 games. But I think this gives them the ability to expand a lot of the story stuff. And part 3, I think, is going to be a 50 or 60 hour playthrough. I think it's going to be a massive, massive game. A lot to do, a lot of places to go. We haven't been to Wutai, we haven't been to Medeal, we haven't been to the Northern Continent, we haven't been to Knights of the Round, like the Knights of the Round Island. Where else? There's another place we haven't been, right? I think they're going to add. I'd like to see them add towns. You know. Yeah, they gave us the silhouette graphic. 3 games. It is planned. It is all planned out. But yeah, so what are your all's thoughts on old Vincent Valentine? Do you think I'm making too big of a deal out of the character, or do you think I'm right on the money? I would, because I really want to see what happened to Cloud. I really want to see what happened to Cloud. Like those people who have to know who Cloud's parents were, like his dad, have to know. I don't need to know who his dad was. I don't think his dad was anybody. Cloud's a nobody. That's the point of the character. He's a nobody. That's the point. It's his willpower. He didn't have to get jacked up like everybody else did. He is a hero, and he does hero stuff. So I'm excited to see what they do. So if they don't go to VR to get Knights of the Round, yeah, I don't understand that. I don't think they would. Bone Village, Rocket Town, yeah. I'm talking continents though. Like, we've been on the continent that Rocket Town's a part of. You know what I mean? Like, we've been on that landmass. I'm talking about land masses. Like, you can open up Rebirth and you can look on the map where Rocket Town's supposed to be. You know what I mean? But yeah, Bone Village is part of that northern continent I was talking about. That's where Bone Village resides. But yeah, like, how big is Wutai going to be? How much of it can you explore? How much of it are we going to get to dive into and find secret caves and caverns and all this kind of stuff? Medill, that's another cool place. You could hide a ton of stuff in Medill. It's a jungle. It's a rainforest, essentially. You know, you could hide a ton of stuff there. I would like to see Modeoheim. I'd like to see Benora. There's a bunch of places I'd like to see. Will we get to go to Reactor Zero in this for a secret mission and take down Deep Ground? Wutai is another continent. Wutai will be, well, it's an archipelago, right? But it is another landmass. It's blocked by clouds over on the western part of the map. Yeah, they said Wutai is going to be big. Wutai is going to be a big, big area. And I'm here for it. I want to explore all of it. I have the feeling that Part 3 is going to be a longer game than Rebirth. Absolutely it is. Blue Silver, absolutely. Really hope it is, especially with all the expansion of the lore that they're doing. Yeah, that's kind of my point, is like they've done so much over the years. And the thing I keep going back to is a point I made when we were talking about the remake stuff. We first started talking about it and talking it up. This whole project, I don't know, but I can almost guarantee, is a collection of notes and thoughts they've had since finishing the game in '97. A collection of thoughts and notes and shoulda, woulda, coulda, and what ifs, and what if we'd done that, and what if we had not done that, and what if we went this direction and not this direction. It's stacks of notebooks full of notes and sketches and everything else that they now get a chance to go back and put in. I think it's awesome for them. And for a lot of them, this is their last project. So you know they're going in on it. So all the lore, all that stuff, they're going to go all the way in on it. And I could really, like, so I think the game really needs a true ending. Like a wrap it up ending. What about going back to the Forgotten Capital? That's happening. That will absolutely happen. It will absolutely be happening. We'll go back there with Bugenhagen. We'll go there. But what will we be looking for this time, right? What will we be looking for this time? That's the key. I think it'll be different. See, Derek, welcome to the chat, by the way, Derek. and Vibrage. Lots of new chatters. What's up? Welcome. I want to see a lot of Lauren Lucrezia's cave too. I think that's going to be a key element, because I think Lucrezia will not only be talking to Vincent, but she's going to see, like if she says something like offhand to Nanaki, it's like, oh, there still are more of your species. Or sees Cloud like, oh, you know, you brought him here. You know, there's little things like that. Maybe she knows Sid Highwind. Maybe she knows Sid from her time there. You know, endless possibilities. And I say they need to have a no loose ends finish to the game, because I think after the game, like 6 months, 9 months later, I think we're gonna get DLC. I think we're gonna get DLC story stuff. They're gonna wanna keep making money on the game, not just getting everybody hyped for an Xbox PC port that comes out in 2032. Like, you all know my thoughts on that. I don't get excited about, oh, did you hear the announcement for the PC version of Remake's coming? It's coming to Xbox 5-6 years after the game came out. I don't care. That's not a big deal. And I think they're learning that's not a big deal too. Like, I think with Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 16, I think they're learning that if people want to play a game, they're going to find a way to play that game. Especially if it's like non-exclusive exclusive, like a wink wink nudge nudge exclusive, like when a Final Fantasy game comes out on PlayStation. It's not going to be anywhere else for a while. We know that. Like Final Fantasy finally on Switch, Final Fantasy 7, who cares? Everybody that wanted to play it's played it. If they're not giving you more story stuff, if they're not giving you something to be excited about for the game, then why play it again? Just boot up your version and play it and save yourself $70, right? Am I right? So I think they're going to want to keep making money on the game. I think they will probably put out DLC. I think they're probably going to put out story DLC. I think there are a number of things that we're going to see with, you know, extra lore. Maybe lore bits that we have not seen, have not heard about, that they add. Like they're doing with First Soldier right now, right? The Ever Crisis stuff that we're getting with the books and things that come out, you know. DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga is going to be a great way to give that to fans in a game. And you don't have to relearn the mechanics or anything like that. You can just get in and play the game. A Sid Vincent DLC. Well, I think Game 3, Final Fantasy VII Redemption, is coming sooner than we think. I think it's going to be late 2026, but probably spring 2027. Like that April 2027 to me seems to be the sweet spot. That March, April 2027. I think we could get it then. I really do. I really feel like we are going to... I think we're going to be looking at that era for that. So, in that regard, I think Square Enix is probably like, we don't need to put a DLC out. You're going to be playing as Vincent and Sid in March or April of 2027. I think that's probably where they're at with it. We did get Intergrade, right? We did get Intergrade. We got to play as Yuffie, and I want to play through that again soon. I want to play through that a little bit soon, just because I feel like it was really good, but I was just getting through it, and I played it once, not twice. I played it once. I feel like playing through it as quickly as I did that one time, it's not fresh to me anymore. So I need to go back and revisit that, I think. But there's so much stuff still to do in the story, you know. We've essentially, if you're looking at Final Fantasy VII OG, we've only completed the first act of the game of 3 acts. Act 1 is Aerith's death. Act 2 is Cloud returning from the live stream with Tifa. And Act 3 is the finale. You wrap up your business with Shinra, you wrap up your business with the weapons, you wrap up everybody's storylines, you wrap up your business with Sephiroth, save the world. And Aerith and Zack get to pass on into the live stream, whatever you want to say. Sid better swear. Sid better swear. Yeah, Yuffie's DLC was a good place for the Genesis tease, but I like that they kept it to Vice and Nero. I like that they kept it very ambiguous. And I love that Nero was the final boss of her story. Thought that was fantastic storytelling. And the fact that they circled back to it at the end of Rebirth. So, oh, you remember Deep Ground? We haven't talked about Deep Ground, but here you go. And do you all remember in Rebirth when Yuffie, she sees, they're on the ship and she sees Genova like forming the black and purple mist and everything, and she is so taken aback. It's almost like she's having PTSD. She's screaming, "Get it away from me," or whatever it is she says. Or she's trying to get away. She's remembering what happened to Sonon, because it's the same power that Nero draws upon. It's the same type of power that Nero has. So I thought that was a great callback. Actually, when that trailer came out, it had that shot, that scene, when Sephiroth's talking about how she can be people you love, yada yada, whatever. That shot with Yuffie running away, I was like, that's her thinking about what happened to Sonon. That's her thinking about the Nero fight. And she's terrified because she'd never seen a power like that. Stuff like that. Gives me complete faith in what they're doing with the narrative. Oh, the weapons, that's going to happen. That's not like new land territory, though. I'm talking about new places to go, the land territory. And I said wrapping up your business with the weapons. Don't forget the trial of the temple. Yeah, we talked about that, Vipraj. Like, the trials at the end of the Temple of the Ancients is a big reason why I feel like the third game is going to be called Redemption. Because the trials in the Temple of the Ancients showed everyone their unfinished business. It showed everybody their unfinished business. And I really think that is something to be excited about. And as a storyteller, as a writer, as a producer, you don't show someone that if you're not paying that off. But yeah, Sing didn't die in the second game. Sing doesn't die. Yeah, Sing doesn't die. He's present in Advent Children. Like, you rescue him, or he appears at the end of Advent Children. Like, he's captured by Kadaj, Yazoo, and Laws investigating the Northern Crater. Weapons being Monster Hunter. I hope the weapons are like Shadow of the Colossus, right? Like and even like Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, there were some huge bosses. You kind of had to climb on them and hit like certain points. Like, I hope it's kind of a hybrid of those things, because there is a lot of fun they can have with the weapon battles. And Sing didn't die in Final Fantasy VII. Sing didn't die. He didn't die in OG. He didn't die in Rebirth. Because in Advent Children, Sing is there. Like, he's there in Advent Children. You don't see him again in Final Fantasy VII after he's stabbed at the Temple of the Ancients. But he is spoken of, and not in the past tense. And then you see him in Advent Children. Nepatau, you're a fucking idiot. That's what you wanted, though. That's what you wanted. You are a type of guy who said FF7 Remake is better than OG. Never once. Never once. Pay attention. Let the adults talk, homie. Sit down, let the adults talk, okay? Thank you for your time. No, I've actually said many times that this, like, Final Fantasy VII OG is the greatest game ever made. This is a love letter to the greatest game ever made. The Remake Saga is a love letter to the greatest game ever made. So, thanks for paying attention to class. See you in detention. See you in detention, loser. Materia Cave, Icicle Inn, Gaia's Cliff, Whirlwind Maze, Great Glacier, and the live stream scene. Yeah, dude, Rick G, there's tons of stuff, man. I'm excited for every bit of it. Like, we saw a tease of the Whirlwind Maze, and I think the other thing that excites me about everything we're going to see these iconic scenes, but we're going to see it in a way where you can see the characters actually reacting, like their emotions, their dialogue, the gasps, the I was wrong. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. But we're gonna get to see them reacting. We're gonna get to see, like, you know what I mean? The performances. And I am beside myself excited with what we're going to see with how the party reacts to what I really think is going to be the boss fight with Reunion Cloud. Now, I originally thought that would be where the second game ended, but I thought Rebirth ended perfectly. Because, you know, right when you finish that game, you're like, Cloud is broken right now. He is broken right now. And I'm going to do a video talking about what I think the perfect scenario is going to be. Because there's some things I haven't talked about yet with his live stream sequence, what I think will be a perfect scenario for that. But him cut that ending with us finally seeing through his eyes, being consciously there, the Aerith water burial sequence, like, that's when we're going to see it. Because he's so messed up right now. He can't process the Aerith's gone. He cannot do it. That's why the ending was kind of like ambiguous, but also very confusing. And it was kind of like this emotional vacuum, right? It doesn't give you time to stop and think about and process what you're feeling. Because they wanted you to feel like Cloud felt. And I struggled with that. Because I was like, this should be a moment. They should have let us process this. But now, after thinking about it, I'm like, they wanted you to feel like the party feels, like Cloud felt in that moment. You see glimpses of it actually happening. You see the party running toward Aerith, and Bareth be like, I'll kill you, you know, and it's kind of like muffled. You know, like kind of like some Saving Private Ryan, storming the beaches kind of stuff going on with Cloud, you know. And actually, there were a couple of shots in that, and the way they did the sound, it really felt like they were taking a lot from like war movies and stuff, you know, how they kind of treated it, the trauma of it. But I think it was beautiful. Yeah, there was no time to process what happened. And I think they wanted you to feel that as the player. So when we get to the most important and pivotal and just all-time important point in a video game ever, which is Cloud's redemption. Once we get that, it's going to be so potent. And they cap it off with you finally seeing the whole Aerith's burial sequence. And then he's going to know. And then he's going to understand. And be able to put these things together. And then he will be the Cloud that everybody in the planet needs him to be. So I'm really excited to see how all that comes together. I think TGS could be a great place for like an announcement trailer. But yeah, so the only thing is with that, like Game Awards and Jeff Keighley's stuff is kind of worldwide renowned as like the place to announce those things now. So Square Enix might be like, if we want to make a splash and really drop this thing, we're probably going to have to do it at the Game Awards. So, but I would love to see it at TGS because it means we get 3 months earlier. TGS is like what, usually middle of September. I don't think it's October. I think it's like middle of September because Gamescom's in August, and then TGS is like middle of September. And then we got like a 3-month stretch where there's other shows, but the main show to look forward to is really the Game Awards. So, yeah, and then like Summer Games. Okay, so if we got the TGS or Game Awards trailer, and then you're probably looking at Summer Games Fest for the next trailer, and then the marketing sweep begins into April 2027. So Summer Games Fest 2026 would be where they start the marketing blitz, like the pre-orders and special editions and all that kind of stuff. And then we go through the fall, we get into the holiday season, pre-orders are all in, final trailer at Game Awards, then a release trailer like in March, and then the game comes out in April. Boom. This is laid out the whole marketing plan. I just laid out the whole marketing plan for you. But that's if it comes out in spring 2027 and maybe 2028. But I would put my money on 2027. But I'm really stoked about what we're going to see in the first trailer. And it's going to give us a really good idea of where we're going, what Square Enix wants us to be thinking about for the game. Because anytime they've dropped these trailers and all that kind of stuff, then we see kind of, they want us thinking about the misdirection, Sephiroth messing with Cloud's head. Like, all the trailers, they put you in Cloud's position. Made you think, made you think like, okay, Tifa's not who she is. They made you feel like Cloud. And it was a brilliant strategy, creatively and business-wise. And I think they'll continue to do that. I think we'll get some trailers of, that feel kind of confusing. That feel like, that are kind of aggressive, right? I think we'll get some aggressively paced trailers, some frantically paced trailers, some confusing, quieter moments in the trailer stuff that makes you feel confused and anxious and angry, or it conveys the feelings of confusion, anxiety, and anger, because that's where Cloud's at in the story. So if I were putting together a marketing plan, like some reels and stuff like that for it, that's the mindset I would try to kind of be in. I think it's great. Yeah, Costa del Sol, yeah. I got frustrated in Costa del Sol because I just wanted to get the good stuff and I wanted to move on. I didn't want to look for bathing suits and all that kind of stuff. And I was so sleep deprived that night. Oh my god. I was like, I just want to go on. I want to get into it. But I'm going to take a quick break, everybody. You all continue to talk amongst yourselves. Good chat happening right now. I'm going to hop out, take a break, get something to drink, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. See you in 5. It came back around to Dancing Mad again. My playlist worked all the way around back to Dancing Mad. I'm mad at it. That's completely intended to be a terrible pun. Anyway. Catch up on the chat here a little bit. Best area was actually Gold Saucer. That was a big area, man. Gold Saucer was a big area. I'm excited to get back into Rebirth. I haven't played it in a few weeks. I've been trying to go in and clean some things up, complete some stuff. But I'm thinking about going on and just kind of playing and chatting with you all as I'm playing through some stuff. What do you think the involvement of any of Glenn and the First Soldier group will be? Any impact or lore in Wutai? Well, Derek, that's a really good question because Wutai is going to be completely different. Wutai is going to be, I think it's going to be completely different. We're not going to see Godo in jail anymore. So, and now, but Wutai, that brings me to an interesting conversation piece because we talked about it last night on the stream. And so I say a lot that this is just a straight up remake, right? It's a straight up remake. They're just remaking things. They're trying to do things different. They got some different ideas on how to do things. And it's just a remake. And it's all cyclical time loop. And it's not a sequel. But if Wutai is completely different, and things are on a cyclical time loop and all that kind of stuff, then the argument could be made that it's a sequel. We might find out in the next game. We may never know. So I think it just really depends on what side of the fence you're on. But yeah, I think, Glenn, an imposter Glenn was like he was an envoy for the Viceroy, right? So, or something. He was like a double agent or something like that. I'm trying to remember how that ended there, but yeah. Yeah, Rufus kind of ended that. You're right. You're right, XCOM. But Glenn is probably dead. Like, if Sephiroth is using copies to look like Glenn or whatever, then he's probably dead. That would be my guess. The Ever Crisis theory also gives a lot of lore dump on Sephiroth's youth and Masamune and Wutai region. Yeah, so there are massive ties to Wutai. A lot of them that they've written in and noted since Final Fantasy VII came out years ago. So I think it's another situation where they have like, not retcon things, but they've got, like I've said, they've got like 20 plus years of notes they want to go back and implement, you know. So I think Wutai is going to be another example of that, and I think that's why they're saving Wutai for the last game, so they can make sure they get everything in there, get it right, and get it how they want it. So I think like, okay, here's all of our notes, here's all the things we wish we could have done different with Wutai and made it a bigger focal point of the world of Gaia. So here's what we're going to do. So anyway, Bob's your uncle. Catching up with your videos, man. These streams are bringing back that awesome content that made me find you to begin with. Keep it going, man. You're my favorite Final Fantasy guy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. Brandon H. Ray plus Final Fantasy equals FTW. Thumbs up. Hey, I like where y'all's heads are at, guys. I like where your heads are at. Just saying. I like it. Going through the story of First Soldier, Episode 1's twist at the end was out of nowhere for me. I can see why Glenn behaves the way he does. Yeah, I haven't played it. I've played Ever Crisis, but I don't remember much about it. I really just wanted to play it for the First Soldier stuff, but I'm going to have to watch some YouTube vids on that stuff to catch up. Just to plug your Discord, I posted concept art for an Arkham Knight sequel that got canceled. Is that what you meant to say there? Good thing we got Suicide Squad instead and Gotham Knights. I didn't play either one of those. Lucia and Matt were also in a helicopter that was shot down in Remake when Avalanche was coming to get the party out of HQ, so they're probably dead too. Huh. Okay. Yeah. But see, that this is the point I've made the whole time about the dangers of making it so like, oh, if you want to know the full, like, it's the example I made with Lord of the Rings the other night, right? We were talking last night about this very thing. It's like, oh, you didn't see Theoden charging the Pelennor Fields and dying in battle? Well, yeah, because that was in the spin-off TV show. That was in that. So you got to go watch that, and then you'll understand the Lord of the Rings better. No. Everything needs to be in the game. That's what good storytellers do. Hacks do it the other way. Hacks make you buy this and that and this and that to complete your story. No. Good storytellers tell you the story. So if there's important stuff in First Soldier Ever Crisis, it needs to be included in the third game. At least talk about it, at least show like a new cutscene of it or something. You don't have to play through it again like you do in Ever Crisis, but they do have to explain it in the game so that you may fully understand it. I like some things I'm pretty lenient on. I'm like, well, you can do it this way, you can do it that way, whichever you prefer. I'm rock solid on this. Like, it is hacky production and behavior to make people buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that to complete your story. No. Tell me the story in the $70 I'm spending 3 times. Or the deluxe edition, the $100 I'm spending 3 times. Tell me there. Don't make me play your gotcha chapter every 3 months game. Yeah. I think we'll get a lot of Sephiroth lore in the third game before you finish him off. I think he'll get the Naruto villain ending, like, you know, or like Nagato in Fushigi Yugi when Tamahome punches through his chest. He's like, "How dare you look into a man's heart?" You know, I don't think Sephiroth would be like that, but if the game is going to if the team is going to great lengths to explain Sephiroth's lineage from childhood or creation, really, to conception, because don't forget, we know his conception, how that worked out, right? Well, what all that entailed. From conception to death, like, we need to know. We need to see that in the game. I'm not against Ever Crisis and First Soldier existing. If you're enjoying that, that's great. But they can't lock the story to just that if they're making you pay $70 to $150 every 4 or 5 years for their 3-part game that this stuff should be in. They can't do that. So that's my point. I think Ever Crisis is great if you've got the time to play it, if you want to go through it. And I'm excited that they're using that to get more lore out. I am. I think it's really cool. I don't have time to play it. I don't have time to dive into it. You all saw how long it took me to finish Rebirth, right? That will not happen for Redemption, the third game, whatever it's going to be called. That will not happen. I will have the time off. We will go through it. We will get through it, and we will get through it quick. Taking our time quick. It won't take a year. But they need to be... Square Enix, I think, across the board would do well to be more deliberate and more... What's the word I'm looking for? Well, just more concise with how they release their stories. More deliberate and more on point. And because a lot of times when Square Enix does stuff like this, like with Kingdom Hearts, some people say there's a plan, some people say there's not, and some people are just like they're doing whatever sticks to the board as far as like releasing their story structure and all that kind of stuff. Be that as it may, whichever it is, it's convoluted. And I don't want to see that happen with Final Fantasy VII. They don't need convoluted releases. everything should be in the 3 games. Everything potent that you need to know or that you want to know needs to be in that 3 games. What would be my opening for the next game, considering it took 2 games and a DLC to cover disc 1? You know, that's a great question. I haven't really given much thought to it. I think there are 2 main focuses of this game, of the 3rd game. Because you're putting Act 2 and 3 together. Like, you're getting Act 2 and Act 3 of the story in one game. So you're looking at a 50, 55, 60-hour game. So there's a number of things they could do. There could be a number of things. It could just be a recap of the end of Rebirth. It could be a flashback to the ending of Rebirth, and then all the main events and all the stuff that happened, and then you cut to them being on the tiny Bronco flying through the sky toward their next destination. Okay, so 2 things. I think it would be cool if you saw a flashback to Cloud's real memory of his standoff with Sephiroth. Like a flashback to that. Like him with his grunt gear on and holding Zack's sword, and him and Sephiroth having a dialogue, right? But then it fizzles out and it comes back to Cloud on the plane. Like the real him is trying to break through, or like the planet or Aerith is trying to help him remember who he is, you know. But then you come back and he's back. Or you could get something from First Soldier with Sephiroth, young Sephiroth, being introduced to like some kind of like weird powers or something that he, you know, things are endless. But I think it should focus on Cloud's break, you know, Cloud's mental break and what's going on. So the first one I thought of there, I think I would prefer that one more, because everything that happens until Cloud's redemption is all about Cloud's redemption. So I think it should be something to do with that. Use your own imagination there, but I think it should have something to do with that for sure. No, the opening sequence can't be Aerith being put into the water, because I think we're going to get that scene, the final bit of Cloud's mind being put back together and being healed. And that's when he's going to remember that Aerith is dead. That's when he's going to realize that she's dead, and then it's going to hit us like a ton of bricks. It's going to be like, it's going to hit us like that. It's going to be very emotional. Matter of fact, I think tomorrow I might record a video, because I've been thinking about doing this video anyway. Like, just release a piece of content about how I would like to see them handle Cloud's redemption in the live stream. Like, beat for beat. Like, beat for beat. Like, the whole deal. The whole shebang. Like, deal with all of it. Deal with all of his trauma. Like, completely deal with all of his trauma. And then the last bit you get is him, like, in the full scene of Aerith's burial in the water and everything. I think that's when we'll see it. I've seen that theory, but I think that takes away from the very real life trauma that Cloud's experiencing right now. Like, I could see them going that route, and there's nothing wrong with going that route, but I think it's more potent Because I think there's two versions of Aerith cloud seeing, and we've talked about this, but I've talked about this before on a stream. I think I talked about it right after I finished the game. It seems clear to me that the darker version of Aerith is the void that is present there that he's not dealing with. That Aerith is dead. And that represents him not dealing with it. The other Aerith we see, don't forget, this is an important point. This is a very, very important point. When Aerith walks by Nanaki and they're all sitting in the grass, that's not Cloud imagining her there. That's her presence there, because Nanaki says, he goes, Aerith? Like, he can feel her presence there. That is her spirit. That is her there. That is very much her there. Because Nanaki is not influenced by Genova cells whatsoever. You could make the argument that he was experimenting on with Genova cells or something while he was in captivity or whatever, but the game has not given us precedence to any evidence to that, so I'm throwing that out. Because from a production and writing standpoint, you would have made sure that we knew something that Red 13 had some kind of like S or G cells experiment on him. Anyway, throw that out. Throw that away. My theory is there's this eternal Aerith that is basically... So if you look at like real life religion, which they have borrowed from many different religious texts to tell the story of Final Fantasy VII, the Cetra, the life stream, all that kind of stuff. It's all very spiritual. It's all from different spirituality from different religions, right? But if you take it at face value, like gods in ancient texts, gods, everybody have come to humans in a form that they can relate with, or come to them like in the visage of someone they loved, you know. I think the Aerith we're seeing, watching the plane take off and everything, I think it's Aerith, but I think it's the live stream as well. I think it is the planet and Aerith working together. That's what I think. And so, seeing Zack basically in his afterlife, going through his afterlife at the end, and then knowing that Aerith is dead. And here's the other important part of this that we've talked about before. Like, when Cloud is fighting Sephiroth, and he's struggling with Sephiroth at the edge of creation, and Sephiroth is probably going to win and do whatever he wants, who comes to save Cloud in his mind? Who comes on a spiritual level to Cloud? It's Aerith. But the planet. I think it's Aerith and the planet working together. I think that darker version of Aerith is just the void that he's not dealing with. Just the vacuum that's created by her absence that he's just not dealing with. The Aerith in the final fight against Sephiroth is I call her Eternal Aerith. But it's like this combination of the life stream, or the planet, if you will, and Aerith. Like, coming to help Cloud. Because Cloud is the planet's champion. The planet needs him to get back on the team. The planet needs him to get right. And so the planet and Aerith are going to work together to help get him right. I think that's what's going on there. See, I disagree with that, Rick. Because we see things and we hear little conversations that Cloud wouldn't... He's away from. You know what I mean? That he's away from. We see everything from Cloud's perspective, but he's an unreliable narrator right now. You can't believe everything he sees or hears, but we did see Red 13 say Aerith. Like, he felt Aerith's presence. She walked by other people. They did not recognize her. So if Cloud was imagining Red 13 seeing Aerith, he would have imagined Tifa seeing her. He would have imagined everybody else seeing her. Red 13 has a special connection to the planet. That is documented. Like, his species has a special connection to the planet. They can feel the planet. And also, Aerith couldn't get on the plane. Her feet had to stay attached to the ground. Like she is a part of the earth. So she's not going to get on the plane with them and fly off. If Cloud had been imagining her there, she would have gotten on the plane with them and it would have been ominous. Like, oh man, that's so weird. Aerith's on the plane with them, they're flying off. That's weird. They didn't want it to feel weird. They wanted it to feel holy. And her being like, you know, just basically, I can't come with you, but, you know, I'm here, you know. Attached, connected to the planet. That to me told me all I needed to see. That was my take. Now that could be wrong, but that's my vision. That's my take on it. Yes, but that's not what we're seeing here. Everybody's been taken in by Jenova and her illusions at some point. I think except for Tifa. I don't think Tifa has been. Yeah, and you know, it's funny that even though Tifa's been in the live stream, she can't see the Matrix. You know, like Cloud's in Neo territory right now because he had a conversation with the Oracle, like in the Matrix. You know, Neo had his conversation with the Oracle. You know, he encountered Agent Smith, which is Sephiroth. You know, now he can see the Matrix. He sees the crack in the sky. He can see the full Matrix. I think it's going to mess with him. I do. Yeah, Rick, I mean, you can make those arguments, but from a storytelling standpoint, I mean, okay, so how do I say this? I mean, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But then it comes down to semantics. As a producer, as a director, as a storyteller, when you're in a moment like that, you're trying to convey a feeling. And you're not solely focused on, well, these are the abilities of this character. This character can do this and cast this. This character has heightened. You're not thinking about that. You're conveying a feeling. You're conveying a message in your visual storytelling. And in the visual storytelling of that sequence, Aerith is like very benevolent. She's portrayed as benevolent. It's not eerie. Even the musical cues are somber. It's not mysterious. It's not threatening. It's not even like devious or mischievous or dark. There's no dark tone in it at all. It's just somber. Because you're supposed to feel somber there, but there's also like a hint of hope to it as well. So that's why I feel like the Aerith we see there at the end as they're flying off is like this eternal Aerith concept. Because just the little things they told us as the storytellers, as the directors, as the writers, like Red 13 felt her presence and wasn't taken aback by it. She's connected to the planet, and she was there as a hope to Cloud. She was there as a comforting presence. She wasn't giving him anything there to mislead him or to try to trick him into some sort of subversion or control. It was just, hey, I'm here, you know. Got your back. I'm with you, you know. And yeah. So the other stuff we'll find out. You know, we'll find out about the other stuff. I think yeah. I mean, I think I'm gonna do like, I'm gonna take all my theories on where I think it's going, and I'm just gonna do some structured videos. I'm gonna point out certain spots of things I'm talking about, and I might even use, and I'm not the guy that usually does this kind of stuff, but I might even use like the obvious films and stuff that these people are influenced by that are making the game, and say, here's where they did that in this, here's where they did that in this, and this is why I feel like they're influenced by this, or this, XYZ. Maybe. I don't have a whole lot of time to edit videos on that level, to make 3-hour video essays. I don't have that kind of time. I don't. I wish I did. I don't. I work 75, 80 hours a week between my job and my studio animation directing responsibilities, and doing the family stuff. I wish I had that kind of free time because I could make some baller videos. I just don't have time. I wish I did. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Vipraj. Like, I'll get into it and break it all down. Yeah, and it's like I said, like during Remake, like the music is used as such a storytelling device in both games so far. The music tells you how to feel about certain characters. The music in Rufus's scene at the end, where he guns down the Glenn clone, or the Sephiroth clone posing as Glenn, or whatever that was, you know what I mean? The music tells you that Rufus is changing. Like, the music tells you Rufus is changing. Like, the musical language in these games is like next level. It's next level. It might be one of the greatest soundtracks ever made, because not only are the tracks just killer, and there's so much variety of all the different tracks, but the tracks are composed with such a narrative intelligence that you can almost close your eyes and know what the story is doing. You can almost close your eyes and know what's happening in the scenes. It's that good. So, yeah, when I say I'm listening to musical cues and stuff, I've learned to listen to musical cues with this, especially in Rebirth. It's all in the notes, man. It's all in the notes. All killer, no filler. But yeah, so the music, and here's the other thing too. In Remake, the track titles, especially in the final act of the game, the track titles from that area really give you a lot of what's going on. Like, I did a video, I can't remember what it was, and I wasn't predicting the name of the second game, but the name Rebirth kept coming to me because of the soundtrack. And that video, it's on my, here, hang on, let me find it. I'll tell y'all what it was. Give me just a second. So, let me see. I'll find the video. It's just an example, and it's not like a bragging kind of thing or anything like that. It's just an example of, you know, if you listen to the soundtrack, if you listen to the music and the soundtrack and what they're doing with their narrative intelligence in the music, it'll almost tell you everything you need to know. So, I need to go to my studio account. I think I remember. Okay, yeah, so March 30th, 2021, I did a video. It says, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Sephiroth's Purple Prison and Rebirth. So, that was the video where a lot of people went back and pointed and said, Ray predicted the title. I was like, no, I wasn't predicting the title of the second game. But the theme of Rebirth was all over the final act of that game. All over it. So the fact that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was called what it was called was No shock to me when they announced that trailer. I didn't predict it, but I wasn't shocked. Like, I was like, makes total sense. It makes total sense. But yeah, it's all in the notes. It's all in the music, man. The music is used to even name drop sequel titles, like final theme of Remake is called Rebirth, and Rebirth final title is called Reborn. Yeah, Reborn could be the name of the third game, but I just personally like Redemption more. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to go down with the ship like every great captain. I'll just be trying to pull the nose up right before it hits the ground, you know? But yeah, I wish we could get, like, I wish they would just release a couple of tracks from the next game just so we can listen to them. Like, I want to hear all of Vincent's battle music. I want to hear what The Nightmare Begins sounds like as like techno rock battle music at 150 tempo. I want to hear what that sounds like. Vincent's piano music with guitar and double kick bass, drums going and everything just going nuts, you know. I need to hear what Sid Highwind's theme is going to sound like. I need to hear it. Need to hear it. Pronto. Yeah, that's why I don't think Reborn is going to be it, because you just called the game Rebirth. But I mean, they've done stranger things. They've done stranger things. But I'm really happy with, so far, how they've handled it. I've had moments where I kind of nitpick about some choices they made, and I still feel like Zach's inclusion to the level it was included was kind of convoluted. So here's my feeling on Zach. I like Zach, but I always loved Zach better as a mystery. I always loved him better as a mystery. I thought Zach's story would have been a great 30-45 minute animated like thing, like a mini film, like that Final Fantasy VII Last Order. Remember that anime the Madhouse did back around 2007 or 2008? That would have been perfect. Like, honestly, that was all I needed. That was really all I needed. You get to know Zach, you know, like if they had made that little thing about an hour, that would have been all I needed. Let's get to know Zach. Let's get to know him and Cloud's relationship, because the game's about Cloud. Let's get to know their relationship. Let's see it all go down, and then we've got everything we need from Zach. I felt, and I like Zach. I like how they portrayed his character. I love that he's like bubbling over with hero energy. You know, he's very much like a classic Final Fantasy villain or hero. He's very much like a classic Final Fantasy hero, just bubbling over with the will to see justice done and do right in the world and make sure everybody's good and good people are good and the bad people are brought to justice, you know. So I like him, but I felt like what they did with him at the end of Remake was to keep people talking until Rebirth came out, because they weren't really sure when Rebirth was going to come out. Especially with all the COVID stuff happening right around that time. I mean, everything was up in the air. They had no idea when things were going to be happening. So I think they wanted people talking until Rebirth came out. And then when we get to Rebirth, like, all of his stuff just feels like it's shoehorned in there. And I've had people disagree with me on this, and that's fine. This is a safe space for you to come in and disagree with me. I'm not gonna, we can have a conversation. I've had many conversations with people who disagree with me on here, and this has been one of them. That I feel like Zach's inclusion in the game is shoehorned in there. You can remove Zach. You can give a couple of cutscenes of exposition on what's happening in the story, and you miss nothing. And you've missed nothing. Zack and Cloud both fight Sephiroth. You could have had Aerith and Cloud just fighting Sephiroth. You know, instead you have Zack and Cloud fighting Sephiroth, and Aerith and Cloud fighting Sephiroth, and then Cloud solo fighting. I mean, and I get what they were doing, but it wasn't a perfect landing. Like they brought it down on 2 wheels. You know what I mean? It wasn't a perfect landing. But still, I mean, even at that nitpick, I was fine with it at the end of the day. Like, it was one of those things where I'm like, you could have trimmed the fat here and done something else. You could have put some other things here or there, but they love Zack. Like, apparently Zack's character trends really well in Japan. Like, and the people at the company love that character. So, that's cool. At the end of the day, it's their story to tell. I just feel like the Zack stuff wasn't necessary. I felt like it was kind of muddying the waters a little bit. But also, the big thing for me was I felt like the Zack stuff was in there to write themselves out of this mystery they wanted people talking about for 4 years. Like, they wanted everybody talking about that ending. And then to explain away that ending, they had to have all the shoehorned Zack stuff in there. Just to get to the point where Aerith is basically telling you, is like, hey, this little world here is not real. It's a pocket dimension created by Zack's will to live, and you know, the price of freedom comes raining down on you. You know, I'm just making a joke there, but you know what I mean. It's like, it felt like all of that stuff was to write them out of that mystery. They had to pay it off, so this was how they were paying it off. No, it didn't feel, it didn't land with me. It didn't feel potent. It didn't feel like it was important enough to be given narrative real estate. So, yeah, Neil Dragon, it makes sense because, I mean, she's in a prone position, you know. When you're picking someone up in a prone position, there's only a couple of ways that can look. But I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, Zack's dead. Like, I was on the whole Zack's alive, and they're doing some crazy stuff with the story, and buckle up, and you know, all this crazy stuff, and my theory was butterfly effect. And because I was like, because all the big streamers were saying, it's time travel. Look, different stamp bags. It's a different timeline. I'm like, no, there's one timeline. But I thought it was going to be like butterfly effect, right? Like, somebody went back and moved something to where Zack survives. Or like the White Whispers were messing with the Shinra soldiers. That Square showed us this. They showed this happening, and then Zack survived the battle, and that changed time, changed the flow of time. Not a new timeline, it changed the one timeline, and now we got like different standby. Wound up not being the case at all. Pocket dimension created by his soul moving on, his will to live, and they kind of explain it that way too. And when those little pocket dimensions are destroyed, all the energy that the life stream uses to create those pocket dimensions for those people passing on, to get them okay with passing on so they can be a part of the positive life stream, like, all that bleeds back in somewhere, and Sephiroth is absorbing all that stuff bleeding in. I felt like it was a lot of work to explain themselves out of this mystery they created at the end of the first game. And now they're in a position where they could just sweep that under the rug. Like, Zack moved on at the end, see ya, you know, whatever he says there is like, I'll see you later, or whatever he says there, you know. We might not see Zack again, or we might see Zack with Aerith, when Aerith is obviously going to be talking to Cloud, because we're not done with Aerith. Like, she will be in the game. She's dead, but her presence will be in the game. And that's why I say that Aerith at the end is Eternal Aerith, Lifestream Aerith, because they're not going to have the only Aerith presence in the game be an evil Jenova Aerith. That doesn't track. That doesn't track. That would kill the legacy of that character, for one. And I don't think Square's dumb enough to do that. And I think the darker feeling version of Aerith is just his trauma. But they could do Jenova stuff with it. But yeah, so they could sweep all the Zack stuff under the rug now. But it just felt like a lot of work to explain away that, to write themselves out of the mystery to keep us talking, right? I was hoping they don't do too much with Zack and thought that he is dead, so I'm okay with what they did in Rebirth. Yeah, XCOM. I feel you. I think they will do something with Zack in Part 3 for sure. Yeah. I think... So, what they did with Zack, I think it was... At the end of the day, if I had to make a guess on what all that was with Zack, it was just the planet giving him time to make peace with what had happened to him. He dies violently and abruptly. And I think that's just the planet, like, giving him time to understand what happened and make peace with it. But you don't really see that happening. That's my problem. You think Zack still thinks he's fighting the good fight and battling to save Cloud and Aerith and going after Sephiroth and Shinra and all this other kind of... They don't paint it clearly that he's having this epiphany that, oh my god, I'm dead. Oh my god, I'm moving on, So, again, I'm not out. He's dead. Like, he's dead. But I feel like I would have enjoyed those points more had you felt like you were on this journey of the live stream, getting him ready to be in the positive live stream and not in the negative live stream. Like these little pockets, that's what those are all about. Getting people ready to join the live stream, basically. Like the last walk with an angel before going off into heaven or something, Like classic religious, spiritual stuff, making peace, your soul finding peace before moving on to the afterlife. It's very much that. But you've got Sephiroth on the other end of this, like when those little pocket dimensions, like when that soul has made peace and that pocket dimension is destroyed, like, and Sephiroth absorbing all that energy from that the live stream created for that soul to find peace. That's more energy not going back to the planet that Sephiroth's intercepting. That part is interesting to me. But it does seem like a lot of work to just explain to you in the last 15% of the game. To drag it out through the whole game, and then that last 15%, it's like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay. Oh, game's over. That was a nitpick I had. Yeah, Nil Dragon, you're right. That's exactly what they did with Wedge. So yeah, some of the little mysteries they try to set up, and some of the, oh man, that's different, to create a moment for you. You can create those moments, that's great, but you also have to write out of them well. Some of the stuff that they've done, and these are small things that don't really have a whole lot of bearing on the story for me personally. They don't do a good job writing out of those things. You can tell there's no real plan for it. Like when Wedge got pulled out of that window in Remake, I was just kind of like, well, he's dead. I was kind of like, well, so he just died the same way. We didn't even see him fall. They talked about it. Like, they just talked about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think they didn't even talk about it until you find that one Avalanche group, right? When you find them in the desert in Rebirth, or when you find them in the Cosmo Canyon area in Rebirth, when you're looking for like the different it's a side quest or something like that. That should have been answered in game proper, you know? So that just kind of tells me, like, some of these little things, there's no plan for it. They're just like, oh, that's loose end. Just tie that loose end off, you know? Now, see, Vipraj, you bring up an interesting point, because this is something that I was thinking about with the whole afterlife stuff. Like, we know Genesis has put him, at this point in the story, he has put himself into a self-imposed slumber, where he is in a different, like, realm. Because in Dirge Cerberus, in the bonus scene at the end, this portal opens and he comes out of it, right? So he is not on this plane. Where is he? Is he on the plane? Has he created a pocket dimension? His own pocket dimension, to where he can rest and recuperate under Reactor Zero. And if that's the case, you're right. We could see Zack run into him in this other pocket dimension or something like that. Is it physical based? Is it just spiritual based? Is it something else? Is it something super, like, metaphysical? We don't know. Interesting stuff to dive into, but I don't think they will go that deep. But I love Genesis, and I've said before, if you're new to the channel, some people will probably just say it along with me that have been watching for a long time. I love the concept of Genesis. It's an awesome concept. It was not great execution. The concept of the character is amazing. Amazing. The execution, not so much. That's what I've always said about Genesis. I'm a big fan of the concept of the character. Yeah, the whole thing with Biggs, that's the other thing. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to stop my chat from running real quick, Nil Dragon, because you hit the nail on the head. That was one of my beefs, because at the end of Remake, it shows this whole sparkly kind of thing. It makes you think that the world has changed because something changed. What changed? You know, was it Zack surviving? Was that the butterfly effect point? Now Biggs is alive. Now, all this stuff they showed us, and then they wrote their way out of the mystery by saying none of it is even real in the second game, which again I was fine with, because those little cutscenes, you're just walking around, you're not even having battles, you're not leveling, you're not finding stuff, you're just staying right there in that same area in the slums. So at the end of the day, it wasn't a big deal to me, but I just felt like they spent all of Rebirth writing their way out of this mystery that they tried to create for everybody to keep everybody talking. So yeah, exactly, Vipraj. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't even have learned about it otherwise, you know. I'm sure they're working on what that's going to be, because we know that Zack appears with Aerith at the end of Advent Children, and Zack's presence is felt throughout Advent Children in the form of that wolf. Like, in spirit, he's there. It's kind of unclear why he's there, and then at the end, him and Aerith get to pass on. Like, they finally pass on at the end of Advent Children. They walk off into the light. So I think this is them trying to, like, we understand Aerith still being there in spirit. We totally understand that, right? But we didn't understand why Zack was there in spirit. So I think this is them trying to give equal credence to Zack, not on the same level as Aerith, but kind of putting him kind of like up here as, like, you know, Cloud needs his presence as well or something like that. Who knows? You could have 20 different theories on that, and all 20 would be right, right? It's what I say. Everybody's right until you're not, right? Yeah, the whispers, I always just kind of felt like they were the cries of the planet. Like, I still feel like that's the inspiration. Maybe not in the world, but like as far as like the creators of the game, like, what were the cries of the planet? What can you hear the cries of the planet? Well, what would these be if they were like a physical thing that could influence the story? That I always felt like that's who they were. Yeah, the Jesse stuff, I went back and forth on for a while, but I kind of was just like, she did. She did. Because when they see her reenacting the thing at Gold Saucer, it's going to be very emotional. Which it wasn't. It was just kind of like a shot of Barrett being like, that was it. That was it. That was it. You know? What's up, Zach? How you doing? We're talking about Zach Fair, but it's good to see you, Zach Dixon. It's always good to see you. We're talking about Zach Fair right now, though. I think you could leave a stain on the trilogy if it doesn't end up... I mean, I guess you meant end up like this, being the case where they just wrote off all these characters and there was really no mystery to it. Well, that's why I always come back around, Nil Dragon, to just saying this is just a straight-up remake. They're just straight-up remake, and a lot of times if you're remaking something, you're changing some things. It's not a one-for-one remake. You're changing some things. You're inputting ideas that you wish you could have went back and done better, stuff like that. In the rare instances a piece of media gets remade, that is the essence of remaking it. Not just making it look better, but changing a lot of things. Magnificent Seven is a remake of Seven Samurai. It's way different, but it's a remake of Seven Samurai. It's way different. It's not called the same thing, but you can go back and look at, and not like revitalizations like Battlestar Galactica. That was a revitalization. That was a reimagining of the series. This is not Final Fantasy VII reimagined. This is Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it's still the same story, but they're changing a few elements to it. So that's why I'm just like, it's just, I came to the conclusion between Remake and Rebirth, I was like, they tricked us all. They're tricking us all. This is all misdirection. They're just remaking this game. That's it. And all the little mysteries here and there, that's why they all kind of feel like they're just getting swept under the rug, is because it's just to keep us guessing while we go the same route, while we get to the same place. Sephiroth will summon Meteor. Meteor will threaten the planet. It will awaken the planet's defense system, which is the weapons. We'll do all that stuff. We'll go through all the things. They've changed the Wutai stuff. They have changed the Wutai stuff. Wutai will be different when we get there. It won't be Godo being a drunk guy, Wutai being a tourist destination. But what if it is? What if we get there? Because Godo is supposed to be in prison in this version. He's supposed to be, like, incarcerated. Like, Yuffie discusses it a bit in Intergrade, right? He's not just some drunk running a tourist version of Wutai. He's like a political prisoner. Like, that's some serious stuff, you know? Yeah, a lot of people told me they're not getting the live notices, but here I am, live and in living color, baby. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. The biggest meme in the next will be the Scarlet Slap fight. It will. Like, let's see, what else would be really funny? No, I think that's got to be it. I think that's got to be it. Well, Zack did see Aerith. Aerith just didn't see him. Like, they didn't share a moment together. I think we'll get some Zack and Aerith moments in the third game. Capcom didn't remake RE3. Another company did, and Capcom distributed it. But I think if they had it to do all over again, they would have just handled that themselves. an action RPG. No, it's not a sequel. I mean, you could make the argument that it could possibly be a sequel. It's not a sequel. It's a remake. They're remaking the game. It's the definition of a remake. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see war with Wutai and Shinra. I think that would be killer. But here's the other thing too. I think with everything happening with the planet, what if there was like a battle breaking out between Wutai and Shinra, and then a weapon just shows up? Just mass chaos that you have to play through and get through. That would be amazing. Oh, there's my drink. Mass chaos. Well, I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'll be back in just a moment. Good stuff. Let's keep it talking. Like y'all are talking some good stuff, especially my recent. If y'all were lurking before, I appreciate y'all being here. Neil Dragon and Vipraj. Thanks for being a big part of the chat tonight. I'm gonna take a quick break and grab a snack, and I'll be right back. XCOM, Zach, Chris, all the other usual suspects, equally terrible. Weapon versus Leviathan fight in Wutai. Hell yeah, man. I'm reading more here before I take a break. The only way it could be a sequel is if Sephiroth and Aerith both turn out to be their Advent Children versions. Well, you could also explain... Well, I'll say that for when I get back. Anyway. Because I've talked about that before here on the stream. I've talked about that before. But I'll come back. We'll talk about it. I'll be right back. All right. We are back. So, the only way it could be a sequel is if Sephiroth and Aerith both turn out to be their Advent Children versions. So if we are dealing with cyclical time loops, time continuing to repeat itself, and look at this as a narrative precedent that's been set forth by the canon and the creators and the writers, and taking into account that a remake is just a rewriting of your original material, then you could still say it's a remake. But to simplify things, I would then say, yeah, sure, we can call it a sequel. I don't think it would matter either way at that point, because you're remaking everything that happens in the original game. So you're basically, it's whichever side of the fence you want to be on, really. And there is no wrong answer. At the end of the day, as long as it's a great story, everybody wins, right? And that's my take on it. So, but I really do think it's just a remake. And I'm happy with that. I just hope when it's all said and done, they just stick the landing with the characters. You know what I mean? Because the characters are what make this story really great. The characters are great. Like I said, I went back and replayed through Final Fantasy VII before Remake came out, all the way through. That was the legendary playthrough that I finished the game. We rolled credits right as Final Fantasy VII Remake released at 12:01. If you've never seen that video, go back and find it on the channel. It was the stream from the day, because I was trying to time it just right. I was like, there's no way on earth I'll time this just right. And we did. At 12:01 midnight, when Final Fantasy VII Remake was available, I got a little notification on the screen that said ready to use Final Fantasy VII Remake, ready to use all the pre-release material that came out with it, or all the pre-order material that came out with it, right as credits started rolling on the game. I'll never forget it. Anyway. Whoops, sorry. But yeah, so I think, what was my point I was making? I got so sidetracked. Orly, you were there for that. There were a lot of people that were there for that. It was really cool. How do we open part 3? I'm late. Sorry if you've talked about this already. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, but there's a number of different ways you could open. I think the one I settled on was a part of Cloud's memories that are trying to come through, like his standoff with Sephiroth on the bridge in the reactor, wearing his grunt clothes, holding Zack's sword, you know, getting ready to charge at Sephiroth, and then the planet fizzes in, you hear Aerith's voice or something, and then he wakes up and they're on the plane heading to wherever they're headed to. There is no wrong way to open that, or something with young Sephiroth, but I would focus it, I would make sure the direction is clear from the start that we are heading toward Cloud's redemption. For my money, the most important segment in any video game ever made is Cloud, his revitalization, his redemption. So, let me grab something real quick. Hang on a second. I was looking for something. A little piece of artwork that I had received. Final Fantasy VII stuff, whatever. It was something I was going to show you guys tonight. Like, nothing major, but just some cool stuff. It was the pre-release stuff. It was something I had just found that had the original release date for Remake on it, and I was going to show it to you all tonight. I can't remember where I put it now. But but it had the March 3rd release date on it. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, a little redirection of the opening. That'd be cool. Playable Advent Children. Well, see, then you're starting to get into like premonition territory, like seeing the future. I mean, we've kind of already seen that with like the meteor and all that, the iconic stuff. But those are like world-threatening things. Well, I guess Kadaj, Yazoo, and Laz were kind of world-threatening, but not like a meteor just smashing into the planet. Dude, you're looking... No, I'm not jacked. I appreciate it. What are you doing? I'm just eating better. I'm eating better. I'm sleeping. I'm getting plenty of rest. Getting good rest. Working out. I've been doing light like cardio lifting. I'm getting ready to start bulking back up though. So my goal is to lose about 15 more pounds, and then I'm going to try to put on about 15 pounds of muscle. Try to lose about 15 pounds of fat, and then we'll try to put on about 15 pounds of muscle. I'm eating lean, I'm eating veggies and stuff. I'm still drinking crap like Diet Coke. This is crap. You should not drink this. This is crap. This is not good for you. But I drink it because it tastes great. The worst product plug of all time. I'm trying to get switched to vitamin water, like not vitamin waters, but electrolyte waters and just regular water, which I've got right here as well. But yeah, just trying to be better. Just trying to be better, man. But thank you for noticing, man. I appreciate it. Part 3 needs to be darker, considering what will happen right after Northern Crater. I felt like Rebirth was pretty dark. To be honest. They definitely did a great misdirect starting with Zack and Rebirth, so it could work. Yeah. But the redirect stuff, we were kind of talking about the redirect stuff earlier. Those need to be feeling like they're planned out better. Because the Zack stuff doesn't really feel like, to me, it was planned out very well. It feels like they kind of swept it under the rug. It's crap, but it doesn't add to your belly fat. But Diet Coke does make your digestive tract not work as well as it should, which leads to bloating, which leads to not getting all the nutrients your body needs out of the food you're digesting and things like that. That being said, it tastes great, and I can't stop drinking it because I'm fucking addicted to it. So I'm trying. like crap for your body, good for your taste buds. It's crap for your body, but tastes so good. As I take another drink. But yeah, I'm fine with the misdirects, but the misdirect worked in Rebirth because it's part 2, right? It's not the final act. I feel like part 3, this is final. This is it. You need to have like something. The reason I like the Cloud Sephiroth standoff on the bridge with the sword, and kind of like the camera, kind of like I could see the camera starting down behind like Cloud's boot, panning up, and you see Sephiroth blurred out in the distance holding Genova's head with the Masamune. And it pans up. As it pans up, you see Cloud from behind, up close, in tight camera shot, handle on the hilt of the Buster Sword. It's panning up. You see from behind Cloud's blonde hair out from underneath the helmet, and you see Sephiroth talking at him. And then it's almost like you pan off, and it's Sephiroth over here, it's Cloud over here, and it sets them up like, wait a minute, oh my god, I just thought of something. I just had like a theory storm, or a moment. Sephiroth always appears to Cloud in a certain way, like at the edge of creation. It's the same distance apart they are, when they're on the bridge in the reactor. It's the same distance. Like if you think about how far away from Sephiroth Cloud is, and Cloud's on the bridge looking at Cloud. What if mentally Cloud is doing something where he's consistently just reenacting that in his mind, but he can't remember it? And Sephiroth is using that in some way. What if that's like happening? Like, because every time in part 1 it showed it, in part 2 it showed it. The same, Sephiroth's over here, Cloud's over here. They're the same distance away from each other each time when this conversation starts, each time. And so what if the flashback to start it is like Sephiroth's on the bridge over here, Cloud's on the bridge over here, and they parallel it like it's the edge of creation, but it's the two of them. And I think that'd be a great way to start it, because it gives an opening, it gives a look at Cloud's memories trying to come back to him, or like Aerith or the planet or whatever you want to call it trying to break through and knock some sense into him before things get really bad. And newsflash, things get really bad. Like, it gets bad enough to where Cloud's in a coma. And I've always thought this too about Cloud's coma. Like, he falls into the planet, he falls into the life stream, right? And he gets spit out at Mediel. But I don't think it's being in the Mako that puts him in a coma. I've always thought it's his brain just shutting down from all the trauma that puts him in a coma. I've always thought it's a combination of being sick from exposure, because he's seemingly like, because he's been there before with his soldier training and stuff, right? So it shouldn't hit him that bad. But I always thought that it was kind of his mental break that put him in a coma, and then he has to be put back together. So I think that would be an interesting way to put it in there. I had never thought about the parallels between the defining moment of Cloud's young life is defending his village and the people he cared about from Sephiroth, or trying to take revenge on Sephiroth for what Sephiroth did to Tifa and the town after Cloud had promised to protect Tifa and the town, seeing his mother killed, and then rushing to fight Sephiroth. That was the most pivotal moment of his young life, and he doesn't remember it. You know, he doesn't remember it. So, having Sephiroth and Cloud's conversations at the end of each game, mirroring kind of their positions on that fateful day with Cloud and Sephiroth. Maybe nothing, might be something. I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about. But yeah, so again, we'll find out when we start seeing trailers. We'll find out. We'll find out what they're wanting to tell us narratively with their trailers and the message they're putting out in those. What still confuses me about the opening was Zack being in the post-Shinra assault. There was another Cloud besides the one Zack was carrying. You mean the Cloud that was on the Neil Dragon? Are you talking about the Cloud that supposedly should have been on the freeway with Tifa and Barrett and Red 13 and Aerith? Neil Dragon, we've talked about that. Like, when I was doing my first playthrough of Remake, you can go back and catch the streams. I've got them on demand. My first playthrough of Remake, I was like, shit's different. Because Cloud in the old game didn't remember killing Sephiroth. In this game, he remembers killing Sephiroth. But that's also because they made some narrative changes. In the old game, you didn't see Sephiroth for a long time. Like a long time. Like Shinra was the bad guy. But in Remake, when he's envisioning the aftermath of the reactor explosion and making him think of like Nibelheim burning, he says, "But I killed you." And Sephiroth's like, "Oh, you needn't remind me," you know. That is, oh, the freeway cloud was missing. Well, if you think about where Zack is, where he really is in that, it's a construct of the life stream. So none of that is real. Like, it's all just a pocket dimension created by Zack's will to live, Zack's will to protect. He doesn't understand that he's dead. So to make him a part of the positive light, this is just my theory. This might be completely wrong, but here's how I interpret it. Zack needs to enter the live stream pure, right? To be a part of the what's it called? The positive live stream, white live stream, whatever it's called, pure live stream. He needs to enter that pure. So the pocket dimension is kind of like a soul filter, right? It's all the negative, like malevolent stuff you might take in with you by begrudgingly dying and not being ready to die and becoming a malevolent spirit or something and being in the negative live stream. Live stream's got to snuff all that out. It's got to put you at peace with becoming a part of the live stream, realizing that you're dying and passing on, getting you prepped for that. So that pocket dimension's not real. Like, the people there, the things there aren't real. Like, when the people start telling Zack in the town, it's like, yeah, I'm prepared, don't have much longer left. Yeah, like, it's like the live stream is talking to him, trying to get him at ease with the thought of passing on, being like, hey, maybe it's okay, this and that and whatever, No, that's Cloud they're talking to. I'm sorry, that's Cloud they're talking to. I was misremembering. But anyway, my point still stands. That freeway cloud isn't there because that freeway cloud doesn't exist in that pocket dimension. Again, it was just a misdirect. Well, I think the first thing they show is, besides the title, that's a good question. The only times they get close were the Edge of Creation and the Temple of the Ancients. Didn't Sephiroth and Cloud get close in the Shinra, in the drum, in Hojo's lab, in the Shinra tower? Didn't they get close there? Like, Cloud jumped at him, and yeah, because Sephiroth batted him back down into the drum. But that wasn't a hallucination. Like, the Edge of Creation is a construct inside of Cloud's mind where Sephiroth communicates with him. And because that's not a clone. That was a clone in the Shinra Tower, and that was also, I think that was also a clone in the Temple of the Ancients. Now, the part in Remake where they're walking and talking, and Barrett and Tifa and Cloud are on their way. Where were they going? Or maybe he was with Aerith. Like, Sephiroth's talking to Cloud, like, I need you to get stronger. And he's giving him that pep talk. He's giving him that pep talk, remember? I was fascinated by that pep talk. I was like, whoa, what is this? He's like, I need you to get stronger. Like, basically, I believe in you, champ. Sephiroth giving Cloud the I believe in you, champ talk. He has his hand on his shoulder. He was talking in his ear and everything, That was also hallucination. That wasn't a clone that was there because Tifa and everybody would have seen it. Now, Marco was a clone when Sephiroth was close to the clone at the beginning of Remake in Chapter 2. So yeah, it's important to distinguish the Sephiroth Cloud interactions between like clone activity or like failed soldier activity and hallucination activity or influence. I think it's better to say, rather than hallucination, Sephiroth's influence over Cloud. I see Charlie Cox spoke on Expedition 33. No, but somebody told me about it. Like, he only recorded for 4 hours. Which makes sense, because that means they had him for he had one session. So for those of you that don't know, when you're recording voice talent, you get one session for 4 hours at whatever rate you negotiate with the talent's agent. So when I was recording for Aurora, I had everybody for 4 hours. We staggered an 8-hour recording session. We staggered in actors in 4-hour increments. So that makes sense that he only recorded for 4 hours. They had him, God only knows what his rate was, but they had him for 4 hours to record. So that makes sense. It makes good sense. That's right, they were going to Aerith's house to check on Marlene, you're right. Yep, that's right, equally terrible, thank you. They were, because that was after Aerith got captured and the plate fell, that's right. Yep. But yeah, there's like, I thought the dynamic with Cloud and Sephiroth and Midgar was super interesting. It's not as interesting anymore because it's pretty cut and dry. They're just remaking the story of 7 now. But in Remake, that wasn't clear. Like, that wasn't clear at all. They were like, they are changing stuff. This is not a remake of Final Fantasy VII. This is something new. This is like a sequel, which is why we were all spinning out of control with everybody having their different theories and everything. But Rebirth seems to have put it back on the wheels of this is just a remake. And they could have went a bunch of different directions. Like, they could have went a lot of different directions. I kind of joked after Remake, I was like, we'll find out if they continue on this like kind of bold path of telling a new story in Final Fantasy VII, or if they hit the brakes and just like, we're just going to remake Final Fantasy VII by course correcting some things. They did the latter in the second game, and I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it because the original Final Fantasy VII is the GOAT. It's the greatest game ever made. So, Megalovania. I don't think Sephiroth was trying to replace Zack. But he was trying to be a buddy to Cloud. He was trying to be Cloud's buddy, be his friend. And what's tragic about Sephiroth is we know he's got it in him to be a good friend and everything. But I don't believe in Sephiroth's redemption. He is evil. He needs to be the villain. He's such a unforgettable character because he is such a villain. Because he is Cloud's devil, you know? People can say what they want about Genova, but she's just kind of the mushroom, and Sephiroth is Mario. She's the mushroom to Sephiroth's Mario. And like, that's what Genova is. Super Mario Brothers Remake. Final Fantasy X Super Mario Brothers. Confirmed. Confirmed! We confirmed it right here. He talks to him in moments where Zack is talking to him? What moments do you mean? Oh, you mean by like supplanting himself and moments where Zack was. Which specific moment? Give me one or two specific moments where that happened. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just trying to remember specific moments from the game. Because my brain's thinking about Remake right now. So I'm trying to remember the stuff where Sephiroth comes to Cloud in Rebirth. Oof. The moment before Aerith wakes him in the church. I guess I'm just trying to remember. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering. I believe you. I'm just like, you know, all the things we've talked about. I'm trying to remember what point, what moment. There's a couple of church moments that are kind of wild in the game. I'm trying to remember exactly which one you're talking about. It's okay. It's fine. I think, like, I was talking about this the other night, but I'm thinking about just, like, killing my Twitch, because, like, I've got Restream right now that's helping me stream on Twitch and on YouTube, and I've been thinking about letting Twitch go and just focusing exclusively on YouTube. I went back to Twitch because I thought a lot of people that used to watch on Twitch wanted to watch me on Twitch, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come back and do both, but I'm just not getting anything over there, so I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do Twitch anymore. I might be letting it go. I don't know. I'll let it run for another month or so, but I may be letting it go. I'm not sure. Oh, Neil Dragon, I know what you're talking about now. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Okay. The scraped knees line, wasn't that his mother's line, though? Because there's a couple of points in both games where Sephiroth says something to Cloud that Cloud's mother said. Yeah, Zach, that's a good point, because, like, he remembers vaguely something bad happening to Zack, but he doesn't, like, his brain knows, but he can't process it because of all the damage. Like, he knows something bad happened to Zack. He doesn't know exactly what, but he knows something bad happened to him. But yeah, like, Neil Dragon, that bit right there, the "Who are you?" that was present in Final Fantasy VII OG. Like, that whole part, except they just were able to voice act it and portray it better in Remake. Like, God, that was one of my favorite scenes in Remake, because of the way they played the music and everything. But yeah, in OG Final Fantasy VII, a lot of people don't realize this, but that was one of your first instances of Sephiroth communicating with Cloud. And the way he kind of bamfs in and out, like especially like on the ship and in different places, you'll see him kind of like flicker into existence and flicker out. Like, that was their way of showing Cloud's hallucinations. But now, of course, they can show it a lot better, a lot more clearly. Yeah, there's Who Are You and there's Who Am I. There's another track called Who Am I. I think it's Who Am I. It's something like that. Are you serious, Peach Booty? That's hilarious. Not surprising, though. Not surprising. Yeah, yeah, like that's the really wild thing about what they're doing is like how well and how deeply and how, like, I would even say specifically, they're showing you how messed up Cloud is. And it's so potent for what we're going to get. With his redemption in the live stream. It's really crazy to think what that whole thing's going to be like. That, and I'm prepared for that whole section to be much bigger than it was in the OG. I think we're going to go into different memories too. I think we're going to go into more than 3 spots with his memories. I think we're going to go to a lot of places. And I'm ready. I'm prepared for it. It's going to be good. Anyway, I'm going to hop off here for the night. This has been an excellent chat. Thank you to everybody who has participated tonight. Cloud boss fight in part 3. Oh, hell yeah, man. My reunion Cloud boss fight is still on the table. Even though it didn't happen in Rebirth, it is still on the table. Hang on a second. I want to share something with you guys. Let's see here. Let me find it. Let's see. Here. June 28th, 2022. Let's see here. I've got a little ditty for you all. Check this out when you get some time. Put that in the chat. That is my reunion Cloud theory. I think the boss fight would be dope. I think you all would enjoy that if you haven't seen it. But yeah, check that out when you all get some time or after the stream. Hope we get all the forms of Vincent. I think we will. Glad I was able to watch the latter part of the stream. Thanks to the stream. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you to everybody, new and old, who came out tonight. We will not be streaming tomorrow night. I might stream over on my Aurora YouTube channel. And if I do, it'll be me working on Aurora, like animation or a comic or something like that. I'm not really totally sure just yet. I have so much to do. But we will still have discussion like this. So even though I'll be working on my stuff, we'll still have this conversation. So if you're not subscribed to Aurora, subscribe to Aurora's YouTube channel. Check out all the good stuff over there, especially the 20-minute rough cut of the pilot episode for Aurora. I've got news tomorrow night over on that channel. So please consider joining me there. And thank you for joining me tonight. If you have not subscribed here, subscribe to the channel. Throw a like on this stream. Let people know when they watch it on demand tomorrow that it was good stuff, with all the likes and stuff you're going to pepper the video with. So anyway, I'm hop off here for the night. Y'all have a great one. Be safe. Be good to each other. Keep rocking, as always. Gotta keep rocking. Keep it going. And Uncle Ray will see you all soon. Take care. Baby, have a good night.